Everyone here knows what social media is, right? So, and I'm sure all of us are avid tweeters, aren't we? Just out of idle curiosity, anyone here have on Twitter and actually tweet? Raise your hand. Okay. It's more than zero. Anyone here have a Facebook profile? LinkedIn profile? And anybody here really care about any of this crap? Sorry. One of the interesting dynamics about social media, in theory, is that it creates communication, right? That A person communicates with B. I mean, Facebook is many things, but the notion, the word social network, describes something that precedes Facebook, a social networking service, by thousands of years. A social network is a graph of the people you know and the people they know, and you interact with them. And if you're a woman, you maintain connections for a period of time, and if you're a man, for a fraction of that time. It's just human nature. Women have larger social groups, women invest more into those social groups, they're nicer generally, whatever. But your social graph was defined by your effort invested in the number of people you knew and maintained relationships with. Facebook, of course, has profoundly changed this, in that it's pure perfect liquidity. No effort is required to maintain your social graph. And in fact, your social graph is vastly amplified. Facebook changed the world the day they invented the wall. Everyone here knows what a Facebook wall is, yes or no, right? It is a private conversation conducted in public. And what's really intriguing about it is, like a pebble thrown into a pond, it continues to amplify. And so if person A makes a comment on person B's wall, the entire conversation is transported to person B's wall, and person B sees A plus B, and if they're following the follower, and on and on and on, admittedly within the confines of the ever-changing privacy settings that nobody understands. But leaving aside, which would be a completely different speech, what's interesting about that is, in theory then, if you could set up the conditions for a business where on the one hand, you gave people a deal. So we all know better, cheaper, faster still is compelling in the real world, right? If it's better, you can sell it. If it's cheaper, you can sell it. If it's faster, you can sell it. I mean, an advantage is an advantage is an advantage. The real world of business has not changed. Well, what happens if you offer something that's cheaper? Just good old-fashioned, the worst of all competitive advantages, right? The lowest common denominator of business, I'll sell for less than you will. What happens if you tie that to a condition that takes advantage of social networks, such that you get a lot of people to it? Because after all, that is the goal of selling slightly cheaper, right? You make it up in volume. That was the point. Well, it's the oldest adage in the world. Okay, well somebody did, not so long ago. How long does it take to create a business that transacts $1 billion? Forget valuations. I mean, forget the YouTubes of this world, where two boys start something and Google buys it for $2.4 billion. You could make a perfectly reasonable case that it could only be worth $2.4 billion to Google and no one else because of who they were. I'm asking a different question. How long does it take to create a business that transacts $1 billion, that takes in a top line? I'd have thought it took a while. It took Groupon less than 18 months. Who here knows Groupon? Let me tell you about Groupon. And let me tell you why capital is less relevant.